Hey, on this video I'm going to explain just the top tips that you need when opening your Amazon Seller Central account. So obviously this video will be based for newbies that are just opening their account. So tip number one, you'll get to know this in my videos if you have a look, got hundreds of them, not hundreds, quite a few, almost three figures I suppose. I get straight to the point. So there's no fluff, just straight to the point, okay? And this is actually contradicting myself because this is a bit of fluff here, isn't it? So tip number one. If you have an Amazon Prime account or if you have had another Amazon account, a seller account in the past, you've got to make sure that you do not set up the same Amazon seller account with the same details, okay? You cannot have it the same details as your Prime account because it runs at risk, and you cannot have it the same as your old Seller Central account because you're just at high risk then, okay? So number one is make sure you do not do that. Make sure that you check if you've got an old account just to make sure that you are not overlapping the details with another account because it will put your account at risk for being a duplicate. So that's tip number one. So tip number two is also setting up a professional account versus an individual account. A professional account does not necessarily mean that you are a business, so don't worry about that. You can be a limited company, have a professional account, or you can be an individual starting as a sole trader, okay? So I would always set up personally with a professional account because otherwise with an individual account, you're going to be paying per item a cost. You're going to be paying a cost per item and you're going to be limited to the amount you can send into Amazon FBA. So you want to be setting up with a monthly fee, which is around about £30–40 a month. I mean, if you're going to take this business half seriously, you need a professional account. So you don't need to be a business to have a professional account, but you want to set up with a professional account from the start, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're going to be paying a really small game and you're going to be limited severely. Now, tip number three is actually very, very similar to tip number two, but it is an opinion-based thing and it's no fact, so I have to separate the two. So tip number three is to actually start with a professional account from the beginning. And the main reason for this is that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when you switch from an individual to a professional account, there's going to be a review process, and they may, if you've got your sales going, then they may hold your account back for quite some time. So there's a risk of them sort of suspending you for a small amount of time before you can actually carry on selling again. So I would personally just go straight from the off professional account. As I say, if you're going to take it seriously, then you need to do that. The monthly fee is going to come out of your, once you've got sales, the monthly fee will actually come out of your Amazon sales account rather than your debited from your business account anyway. So you should be making money anyway. So that's my tip number three anyway. So the next tip number four, is to actually just make sure you've got all your necessary documents ready and waiting to go. The last thing you want to do, I know because I'm a little bit impatient, I almost did this to start with, but luckily I had everything ready. You're going to need certain things like utility bills and certain papers ready before you start. So do not submit anything. Amazon doesn't take any prisoners, so seriously, do not submit anything unless you're 100% sure that's what they're looking for. It's just going to give you a prolonged process and possibly flag your account up for possible, just people to keep an eye on it in future. Amazon doesn't take any prisoners. There's a reason it's one of the biggest companies in the world. They're customer based first. They suspend people quite freely, to be honest, and suspensions are on the rise. So you don't want to give them any reason to flag your account as a possible risk. You want to give them all the information they need from the start. So have all the necessary documents ready before you submit. Next tip number five, is just to make sure everything matches up, right? Amazon, as I said in the last one, tip number four, doesn't take any prisoners. So tip number five is to make sure everything matches up. Make sure your billing address is your business address if you're starting with a business, and your billing address is the same as your utility address. Make sure all of them addresses are the same as the Amazon seller account address that you're going to put on that. Make sure everything matches up because Amazon cross-references absolutely everything and you do not want to get on the wrong side of them. Make sure utility bill, Amazon seller account, business card, business registered account, your personal registered accounts of all these different things. Make sure they match up because Amazon's got bots all over the place. They're very on it, okay, and they've got bots all over the place. Make sure everything matches up. Right, so the last tip number six, is to basically, it's unlikely if you've done everything right, which I've just said, but if you do get rejected, if Amazon don't like the idea of you selling on their platform for some reason, which they should specify, just make sure you're professional when you speak to them. Just make sure you're professional. Make sure you come across professional. Don't give them any reasons to not have you. So that is my 6 tips. Make sure you like and subscribe, please, if you've enjoyed that, and I will speak to you soon.